Okay guys, today we're going to be going over the 7 reasons as to why I think you should consider truck driving to fundamentally change your life for 2021 and moving forward. Let's get into it. Reason number 1 is you can live with almost no rent. Now this is obviously situational, so depending on how your current circumstances are in life, this may or may not be something that could work for you, but it can work for almost everyone to some degree. So according to a Pew Research study that came out a few weeks ago, if not like a month, 2 months ago, that's that 52% of young adults aged 29 and younger are currently living with family, aka their parents, siblings, or friends, whatever that kind of living situation is. So overwhelming majority, far more than it should be. But that could be a very good thing for your unique situation. So look, if you're living with your parents, it's probably safe to assume that you are living rent-free. Of course, that may or may not be the case, but it could put you in a situation to either negotiate. I know it's family, but it's hard to negotiate, but you can negotiate and tell them that if you're getting into the trucking industry, that you will more than likely be spending a majority of your time on the road. So for instance, like my situation with FedEx Ground, I'm only home 2 days a week, and that's actually quite a luxury starting out in the trucking industry. So I've gotten accustomed to that, but I'm only home 2 days a week. Now, I'm currently paying rent, and that's a personal choice that I'll get into in another video. But for those of you that are living at home with family, you could tell your family what your plan, your goal is, and be like, listen, I'm gonna be on the road for at least a week at a time, if not more, depending on the company you go with and the type of trucking that you do. You could be out on the road for a week or several weeks, sometimes even months. There's people out there that are just trucking nonstop, and they're essentially living in the truck. But that gives you an opportunity to completely eliminate your rent, or at least minimize it, depending on how you go about it with your family and friends, whoever it is you may be living with, and drastically reduce your rent, if not completely eliminate it, and just stack cash, and rapidly, because everything in the trucking industry, you get paid by the week. So every single week, you just see your bank account going higher and higher and higher and higher. And that's exactly what you want in this time. Right now, we're post-pandemic. It's December 2020. We're about to enter 2021. So many opportunities are going to be coming into the marketplace right now. And all it comes down to is whether how much money you have in your bank account, disposable and ready to use at a moment's notice. So that's a key component. And reason number 1 why you should consider trucking, because there's really no other industry to where it makes paying rent an option. So that's reason number 1. And it could definitely drastically change your life and the trajectory of your life financially. Because if you could eliminate rent, that's the number 1 expense for most people. So that's reason number 1. Okay, so reason number 2 as to why you should get into the trucking industry, given whatever your circumstances are at this period of time and moving forward, is the second biggest expense of your life, if not the first, depending on how your situation is once again, is your food costs. So listen, what I've learned, at least in the last few months in the trucking industry, is you can essentially live for free. Now, I know that sounds far-fetched and probably not true, but it's been true for me for the last 3 weeks in my trucking journey right now, because most truck stops, gas stations, you have Pilot, Flying J, Petro, TA, and there's a few others, Road Ranger out in Texas. But all of these truck stops, they have a rewards program for when you fuel up, and almost every single trucking company allows you to fuel up wherever you want to fuel up. Stick to one, get a rewards program, and be sure that you get every single point for every single gallon of gas that you're pumping, because you get money back for that on the rewards card. And it's not just a little bit, it's actually a lot. Like I said, for the last 3 weeks, possibly a month, I have been living absolutely free on the road. All my meals are paid for. I generally only eat once a day, and it's a big meal. Because I mean, when you're driving, you're not really active, so one meal is pretty much good enough for me on the road. So when you're on the road, you can just use those points to eat the once a day, And if you wanted snacks, which I wouldn't recommend because that's how you gain weight on the road, but you could get snacks if you want to. But actual meals, you could buy actual meals for free with points on the reward card systems through most of the truck stops. It's phenomenal. And like I said, I've had zero food expense on the road for the last month. So that's reason number 2. And that's more money that you could be stashing away and not touching for that rainy day or the several rainy days that are going to be coming up ahead, where you can seize opportunities, but you have to have the money and the cash disposable to do it. And that's reason number 2. Now, reason number 3 is forced discipline, forced focus. Now, listen, I'm just an average guy, right? So I have my vices. I have, certain habits that probably aren't good, and certain things that you wish you were doing, but you aren't. Insert anything there. Call it reading, call it any sort of practice. Say you're into meditation or journaling or whatever. These are things probably most people should be doing, but you just don't have the time or the discipline or the focus in order to do it. What I've realized in trucking is it puts you in a forced, disciplined, forced, focused environment. You're in the cab of the truck. There's not too much elsewhere you could go. And you could legitimately laser focus, pinpoint these certain goals and attributes that you wish to obtain, possess, or work on. It's the perfect environment. If you want to pick up any of those things that I just said, reading, meditation, journaling, any of those things that develop character, mental fortitude. Those are just a few examples, but anything you could really think of. Trucking is the perfect environment to develop any sort of discipline, any sort of habit that you wish to have, because you have really not much else to do. I know that may sound bad to some of you, but honestly, think of, this might be a bad comparison, but I follow Wes Watson on GP Penitentiary Life. If you're not following him, he's excellent. I definitely recommend looking into his channel. But for instance, he spent 10 years in prison. And you could think of many other people throughout history that have been, confined to small spaces, and it honestly built their character, built their fortitude, made them better people. And I truly believe that trucking can be that for you. You just have to choose for it to be that. It is an excellent, excellent vehicle to develop anything that you want, because you're in that confined space for however long. Like I said, most of the time, if you're a new driver, you're going to be on the road for at least a week, if not weeks at a time. And most people think that's why they don't want to get into trucking. I actually recommend that it's the reason why you should. It takes you away from the vices of regular day-to-day life of non-truckers. When I was in finance and in real estate, just living day-to-day, constantly eating out, you're just, being a bum, laying around, just not doing the activities you should be doing. But once you're in trucking and you're in that isolated environment, you really have very few options other than to do those things. And as long as you actually put towards the mental strength and you're disciplined in the actions that you could develop, whatever they are, you're in the sleeper, you're in the back of the cab, you could be doing these little things that just build, that compound and make you a better person, make you think sharper. You could be looking into side gigs, you could be doing anything. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. It's just such a conducive environment for growth, so long as you choose it to be. So that's reason number 3. So reason number 4 is kind of related to the last one, is you are in a rapid learning environment. Now listen, there's so many truckers out there on the road, so many people. I call them the driving dead, or I call them the running dead if they're not driving a truck, right? It's just people that are just doing nothing. Why? I don't understand why that is. And look, I'm not here to blame anybody or judge anybody, because I've been there. I've done those things. I've wasted a lot of time being directionless and aimless and not striving to enhance my learning and progress in life. I've certainly had those moments in my life. But as a trucker, everybody's heard the saying that, your car can be your classroom. And that's even more so true as a trucker. You're driving for 11 hours a day, and then you're 10 hours in the sleeper. And I mean, you're going to be sleeping, 6 to 8 hours of those hours. So you could be listening to audiobooks. I'm not sponsored by any of those places, at least not yet. So, I mean, you know what they are. You can listen to all those audiobooks. You could listen to tons of YouTube channels that are, conductive to building a better life, to learning something new, to thinking new thoughts. And ultimately, you could just compound these things with developing the habits and characteristics of things that you want to do and want to learn, with number 3, and this one with number 4, with the compounding learning environment. You could just put yourself in such a hyper speed learning environment. I mean, I'm not really entirely sure how else to put it, but you could learn things that you would never learn otherwise, and be introduced to new ideas and topics that you would have never have otherwise listened to or considered. I mean, look, I listen to the Joe Rogan podcast. I'm sure many of you probably do too. I mean, that's certainly, he talks about topics that can expand your consciousness, so to speak. But there's so many other things. Like, you can look into becoming or obtaining like licenses, learning other skills, and opening your mind up to other possibilities. Like, look, trucking may be something you want to do long term. It may not be something you want to do long term. So in the meantime, you could be learning about or of something new that could completely change your life outside of trucking. And that's really the goal of everything, right? So that's reason number 4. So reason number 5 is travel. Now, I'm the type of person that loves to travel. Prior to getting into trucking, I had traveled to more foreign countries than I had traveled within the United States. I mean, it's really been incredible. And within the last, 3 or 4 months that I've been in the trucking industry, I've visited more than half of the states in the country already. And it's incredible. Look, I've been born, raised here in Southern California. This is where I've lived my life. I've been a full-time real estate agent here for almost 8 years. And I love it, but I had only driven to maybe San Francisco up north, and I've maybe driven to Vegas several times, but that's about it. I had never gone anywhere else. And I mean, I've flown to New York, flown to Florida, but driving is a different experience. It's completely different. And being a trucker, you have the opportunity to see this country, and it could really expand your awareness. It's done that so far for me. Once again, living here in SoCal, you live in the SoCal bubble. You think, you listen to the news and you see all these things about how the rest of the country is disrespectfully known as flyover states. I do not hold that opinion anymore. I think that's completely disrespectful, personally. And now that I've driven to just about every single other state, this entire country is amazing. It's beautiful. There's nice, lovely people everywhere. And it's certainly broadened my horizons. And I honestly think it could do the same for you. Now, you may live in the Midwest somewhere, so one of those states, and think the same thing because you've never been outside of your state. You've never been to California, you've never been to New York, and whatever. So be it. That's okay. But when you get into trucking, you're going to start traveling, and traveling rapidly to other places. And, you hear these comments and stereotypes about other states, other places, and they're all false. I mean, it's just a bunch of BS. But once you get into trucking, you're going to see that how amazing this country really is. Astronauts have this term called the overview effect, where once they leave the atmosphere of the Earth and they're able to see planet Earth from the space station or the space shuttle, wherever it happens to be, and they look down on Earth, and it just completely changes their perspective of what Earth and life on Earth actually is. Now, obviously, this is on a much smaller scale, but I felt like I kind of had a similar experience driving the roads of the United States. Look, it's 2020. I mean, I don't need to tell you about all the chaos that's happened this year. Just as well as me, right? But driving the roads cross country from coast to coast, you see how amazing and beautiful the country is, and how beautiful and amazing the people are of this country are. It's just, it makes the country seem much smaller than it actually is. And it makes all the issues that we think we have in this country seem so insignificant, meaningless. They're petty. Now, it's really an effect that it's had on me. And so traveling has definitely broadened my horizons, and it could change your life. And I really think that it probably could do the same for you. So that's reason number 5. So reason number 6 is intragig possibilities. I know that might not be a term you've ever heard before, but everybody knows what a side gig is, right? Well, intragig is something you can do while you're working your job. And trucking is probably uniquely one of the only industries that I have yet to experience where this is possible. So for instance, you're driving on the road for 11 hours a day. What's to say you can't do something else? There is nothing that says you can't do something else, right? So what I've discovered, given that I have my real estate experience and my real estate background, for instance, I have experience in what many know as wholesaling. Now, that's definitely a trendy topic here on YouTube. You can do your own research as to what that is and how it works. It's rather simple in theory. You just gotta do a bunch of steps in order to find people who are distressed homeowners and get their houses under contract, which can be done completely on your phone. And so that's rather easy. But the thing is it requires a lot of cold calling. Granted, when I used to do this full time, maybe about 2 years ago, I would make hundreds, if not thousands of calls a day. I didn't enjoy that, but this is the thing. Now that I've gotten or fallen into trucking, and you're sitting there for 11 hours a day, you know, as opposed to listening to, you know, the podcasts and audiobooks and learning and doing those things. I'm not one for listening to music anyways. I just think it's boring. But if I'm not listening to a podcast or an audiobook and something that's going to like improve my life in some way, shape, or form, you may as well be doing something else that's going to be getting you paid or potentially getting you paid, which is why wholesaling is actually one of the things that I do while I'm driving. I do have a list of like phone numbers that I do call when I'm home. I do, I have a list that I developed months, if not a year ago, of what's it called? It's called driving for dollars. That's what they call it. But what it is you drive around your hometown and you look for distressed properties that just look like garbage, right? And there's certain products and services where you could find the owner's information, and then you could give them a call and kind of give them their spiel like, hey, I want to buy your house type thing. And you just sit in an office all day making those calls. So that's what I used to do 2 years ago. But now I'm sitting in a truck at least 11 hours a day. Why can't I make those calls while I'm driving? So that's what I do. And, you know, that's just putting yourself in a position to possibly fall into an opportunity that can make you a lot of money and possibly change the trajectory of your life. And I mean, that's just one thing that you could consider to do. Like, say you're very knowledgeable on a particular subject or topic, like let's just say IT. I mean, this is probably a bad example, but like I have a cousin that's in IT. He has a lot of experience and knowledge in the internet technology business. And there's a lot of companies out there that hire like people from call centers doing IT, right? So say you know a lot about IT. Who's to say that you can't work remotely while driving a truck, taking IT calls with the headset that's noise canceling? They're never going to know you're in a truck. But you can do that while you're driving and doubling up your income. It's certainly a possibility. It's an intra-job gig. I mean, I just kind of coined that term, but it's intragig. There's no other job on earth that you could really do that with other than trucking. So that's reason number 6. So reason number 7, guys, is what I alluded to in steps 1 and 2. You know, living for rent-free and possibly having your food expenses completely eliminated by having this job. And the reason number 7 is stacking cash. It is so important to do right now. Look, we're in December 2020, entering into 2021. And in 2021, there's going to be a massive amount of opportunities that are going to present themselves into the marketplace. And the main thing that you need to have is the disposable cash ready to seize those opportunities. Because look, everybody, given my real estate background, everybody thinks that real estate is going to crash and go. Something like what happened in 2008, 2009 is going to happen again. It's not ever to that same degree again. Not within our lifetimes, at least. I really doubt that. There's plenty of other real estate professionals that think the same thing. And waiting for that, you're just wasting your time. But needless to say, like all the rich, wealthy people on the planet, like all of them have cash, disposable, ready to disperse for whenever an opportunity arises. Being in the trucking industry and eliminating several of your expenses, putting yourself in a position to where you pay yourself most, not just first, is going to make you be in a position to be ready to pounce on opportunities when they arise. Now, is there going to be opportunities in real estate? Yes, there will be. To what degree, we'll never know until the time happens. Now, there is going to be a foreclosure crisis in the near future, at least based on the current statistics, but it's not going to be nearly as bad as it was back in 2008, 2009. Are prices going to drop as much? No, I honestly don't think so. And listen, the stock market, it's completely inflated right now as of this recording. It's going to crash again. It almost has to. But listen, when it crashes again, if you look back into March, April of 2020, when everything just absolutely crashed, it plummeted. I know many of you probably thinking, man, I should have invested in this, I should have invested in that. And you're absolutely right. But the thing is did you have the money at the time? Probably not. I mean, did you even have the wherewithal, the know-how of investing in stocks at that particular time? Probably not. But the number one key component is to have the money, the cash disposable to invest in those stocks for when they are severely discounted. So trucking, once again, puts you in a position with reducing all of your expenses and just stacking cash as rapidly as possible. Remember, in the trucking industry, you get paid per week, not every other week, as most other jobs are concerned. So you could build money faster than any other career that I could think of. And with the possibility of eliminating most of your expenses, it puts you in a position, like, look, think of any high-paying job, high-paying career, and think about what they make. Careers where they earn between like $100,000 and $150,000 a year. Most of those people, they have to live in a house, they have to own, they probably have nice cars, all those things. And granted, yeah, they make a lot, but do they keep a lot? Trucking makes you be in a position to where you keep most of what you make. You probably make or keep as much as those high-paying individuals are living off of. So you got to really think about that. This trucking industry can change your life rapidly. And if you are unemployed, underemployed, if you've lost everything in 2020 and you don't know what else to do or where to go, this is the job that you need to consider getting, because it could change things like that. It's an opportunity available to you right here, right now, today. You just got to go get in a truck driving school and get your license. It could take you 3 weeks. They say 4, but I have a trick to make it do in 3. I'll make another video about that. But listen, is truck driving school expensive? I mean, it's between $2,000 to $5,000 depending on where you go. But listen, if you could put that on a credit card, I highly recommend it, because you can pay it off in 2-3 weeks tops. That's what I did. So what's to say you can't? Nothing. Everything is available to you right here, right now, no matter your race, religion, creed, your sex, nothing. Trucking is completely unbiased. Anyone could do it. Any single person could do it. So if you're struggling right now and you have big dreams and ambitions for the future, and you just don't have the money or the wherewithal, and you have just no way of thinking of how to get there, I promise you, trucking is something that you should consider, because it could put you in a position to rapidly thrust you forward towards your goals and dreams. And those are the 7 reasons why you should get into trucking. So if you thought this was valuable, if you know anybody that's probably in these bad situations or circumstances through what's happened in 2020, please share this video with them. If it helped you or them, please like this video, share it. I think a lot of people need to see this, because I'll throw in a bonus number 8 right now. Bonus number 8 is, this business is booming right now. It's absolutely booming right now because the pandemic, how everything's closed, everybody's ordering things online, and that's just more freight that needs to be moved by trucks. And I think there's 170,000 truck driver shortage in the United States of America right now. They're waiting for you. They're waiting for you. And I've made other videos on what I recommend the company to join, how to join it. If you have any questions, comments, leave them down below. I'll address them. And listen, 2021 is going to be the year where you and I are going to change our lives rapidly with truck driving. So any financial advice, any trucking advice, reach out to me. Let me know. I'll be here I'll see you guys on the next one.